Hail. Welcome, welcome. Hail. I see folks are coming in. Thank you so much for being here. I see folks are coming into the webinar. We appreciate you being here. Good to see you. Hail. Hail. It feels like Haggatitude to me still, but that might be just me. I'm not saying good morning, I'm saying Hail. Good day to you. It might be because I took my grandpa nap. That feels like morning. There's Lovina. I see you. We're still a few minutes late. We're working out some of our tech. Glad that you all are in the room. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the Blue Jay Wisdom webinar brought to you by the Ilahi Fund. And we're just going to be starting up here in a couple of minutes as we're getting folks in the room. And I think we're going to promote Lovina. So yeah, I want to make you feel good as you're coming in, Lovina. You're going to be more than an attendee. You're going to be promoted to a panelist here in a moment. All right, I think you're good to go. Once again, Gualapo T de Ishid Cholt Araque Dachu. Welcome, friends and relatives, each and every one of you. Danisatan Tista, Swadubs Chud. My ancestral name is Danisatan, and I am from the Swinomish Indian tribal community. And really want to, on behalf of the organization, thank each and every one of you for being here. This is the last of the Blue Jay Wisdom webinars series, and it's going to be a good one. And we thank you for being here. There are some changes. We are wishing our relative Yufna Soldier Wolf blessings and love and prayers as she had a family emergency. So she's not able to join us today. But we do have our other presenter here, Lovina Louie, who I'll be introducing here in a few moments. We just want to thank you, each of you, for being here. And I wanted to share some of the information about the Ilahi Fund. We're celebrating the 20th anniversary this year. Woo! You can't see that. I'm celebrating. Yeah, 20 years of the Ilahi Fund, and there's a little script here that I have to read because I don't want to make sure I don't miss anything. But the Ilahi Fund serves as a bridge builder, facilitator, and resource partner as we work to catalyze a movement toward positive futures. Our scope of impact includes urban, rural, island, and reservation-based indigenous communities from the Arctic to the Rockies in what is now known as Alaska, British Columbia, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. That's really powerful. Just to speak honestly and frankly, to be addressing reservation-based tribal communities as well as rural who don't have a land base, and serving such a wide region. One of the only other organizations that does serve, well, not even that whole area, but the Affiliated Tribes of Northwest Indians covers most of that area, but doesn't include British Columbia or Wyoming. And so really appreciate the work of the Ilahi Fund for supporting tribal communities, urban, reservation-based, or rural. And congratulations, 20 years is really, really special. As we're beginning, as I mentioned, my ancestral name is Danisatan. It's a second generation name from the Swinomish community, and it's the male version of my mother's name, which she carries the name of Donicia, and her other name that she carries is Hugalitza. And I'm mentioning that because I mentioned this yesterday as well, that we carry these traditional names, that we don't own them, but we borrow them from our future generations. And so it's always important to recognize our language, our traditional languages, and our traditional names. And so to begin, I just want to offer a short prayer, to begin the day, the webinar in a good way. And so everyone prays in their own way, and just please do that now. Grandfather, grandmother, creator, thank you so much for this day. We're asking for blessings and prayers for our relatives, the ones who are facing challenges and are not able to join us here today, and tending for their families or their loved ones. And we're asking for the strength of our presenters, Lovina, and the words that she's going to share with our community. And we ask you to bless our organization, the 20 years of doing this good work in our community and caring for our tribal communities. We ask that you bless our elders, the ones that are present with us, and our elders that are at home. We ask that you bless our children, our future generations, and our up and coming leaders, and the ones who are going to carry on the work. We just are so thankful for today and the rain, and the blessings that you've given us today, and asking you to watch over this work that we do today, and help raise us up and be one. All my relations. So we're going to have some time today to be able to for our presenter, as well as some question and answer period, and we'll be using the chat feature, the Q&A function at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Please use that at any time and show Lovina some love. Whatever comments and questions or things you want to share, please use the Q&A feature. And we'll be doing a raffle at the end like we did yesterday. And to begin, Yufna was not able to join us today, but she did have a video that she wanted to share with the group. And so we'll move into that video now, and then turn the floor over to Lovina.
When they brought these children here, they took everything away from them.
I imagined them scared, hungry, just trying to understand what was happening.
The Arapaho, we have our own way of life. We live under this pipe, and it's teaching.
They tried everything to get rid of us. They resorted to taking our children.
Native Americans, we're gone. We don't exist anymore in this nation. We exist only in books, on TV, in museums.
The children were much more vulnerable to all the European diseases.
When one died, and then the next one died, and they all died within a year of each other, They needed each other.
They're buried here, see. They've been here too long. It's time for them to go home.
anxious, at the same time, I don't know. I don't know. The unknowns over there, you know. That's what I'm thinking about, but I'm ready.
We don't know where we're gonna find it all. And like, I think we should just like stay humble and not think about, or like not get too excited.
And I always tell the kids it's okay to cry. You know. I'm excited and I'm anxious. I'm anxious for us to go over there and to get our children and bring them home. That's kind of how I'm feeling right now. I'm happy. It's just that I'm ready for this.
The school was founded by Richard Henry Pratt in 1879. He developed his philosophy of an institution that would train Indian children to become assimilated exclusively in a white community, with industrial training for half a day and academic training for the other half day. So the first thing he did was cut their hair, remove their clothing, and replace it with uniforms.
When I first got here, I walked in that cemetery, and then I could feel the pain and that heavy heart.
A lot of these headstones don't have names. Those are kids that are never gonna go home.
How many students came to Carlisle?
We know of 10,700 names.
So I want everybody to know what happened to our children in those boarding schools. Wherever they were, there was over 500 boarding schools in the United States.
We have letters from my grandpa who wrote here, and my dad who wrote here, and my uncle who wrote here requesting for our children back.
It is the first time, the very first time, that any of the native nations have succeeded taking ownership of this history and taking ownership of their students that they lost and taking them home again.
We're not waiting no longer for anybody to come save us. We're gonna save ourselves.
We still rehashing this. Why can't we be focusing on science, math, engineering? You know, there's so many other things that we could be focusing on, but we can't do that until this has been, we've healed from it.
They go home.
Yeah, we want to thank Yufna for sharing that video. And of course, it's very heartfelt, and many of us have families or relatives who are impacted by the boarding school and residential school system. And it's appropriate that we're viewing a video like this and acknowledging, on Monday, the Orange Shirt Day, that our Canadian relatives up north created as a way to acknowledge the ones who didn't come home, and the survivors of the boarding school system or the residential school system. And it's a lot to carry and a lot to bring forward. And so we're thankful for the ones who do that heavy work, the heavy lifting of bringing our ancestors home and identifying. And the United States has not done the type of work that Canada has done. And of course, there's more work in Canada to do, but we're just at the beginning of our here in the United States, and um, we have, we need to say a lot of prayers, for the ones that are engaged in that work. At this time, I want to bring forward, Lovina Louie, who is Coeur d'Alene, Okanagan, Colville, Nez Perce. She's a descendant of Chief Morris Antelope and Chief Manuel Louie in from Oliver, BC, Canada. And it's so great to see you. And seem to run into each other every once in a while. And so very happy that you are here today. And I know that you have really great things to share. So we'll turn the floor over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Limlam Shinchas Ba'us Talichast, Michael and Ali, for inviting me to be with you, all of you tonight. It's very, I think before I even really get started, I just want to talk a little bit about Yufna and the video that we watched, because as some of you might know, that there's also been children have been brought back from Carlisle up to Hayes just recently, Fort Belknap Reservation, and the director of Native Wellness Institute, that's her reservation up in Fort Belknap in Hayes, Montana. And so she was sharing with a lot of us some pictures and some words, and it really touches my heart and my spirit, because I went to Haskell, and Haskell back then was an all Indian junior college. And and before going to Haskell, I didn't know why our people died all the time. I didn't understand why my uncles died of cirrhosis, in their 30s. I didn't understand why my dad, drank, and my mom drank, and everybody around me drank. I didn't understand why, our people just died. That, I went to more funerals than my white friends. Like, they didn't go to any funerals compared to the amount of funerals that I was going to. And, so all through, school, I just didn't understand why. And, I would ask my white friends, what do you think of the Indians in our school? We're scum, we fight all the time, we're alcoholics, we just drink, they just say all these negative things about my people. And I just, I thought, well, why are we like this? Why was I sexually abused? Why can't my dad say I love you? It was those kind of things that I just didn't understand as a young person. And then I went to Haskell, and every class I was in was about the Cherokee Trail of Tears, the Long Walk of the Navajo, the Sand Creek Massacre, the Wounded Knee Massacre. Like, all this history was just like put on me that I didn't know. And, so when I was at Haskell, and then I started to see, General Pratt kill the Indian and save the man. And I walked out at Haskell, and I looked at the graveyards at Haskell and all the children who died. And I remember just looking at those graves thinking, like, these little kids didn't get to go home. They didn't get to go hug their mom and dad and see their grandma and grandpa ever again. They left their reservation, Indians, and they died at Haskell of broken hearts. And I think that's what I realized the most, is that, even though there was malnutrition, and there was, they weren't fed very good, and they were beaten, and they were raped, and they were molested, but that a lot of them died of broken hearts. And so when I left Haskell and I went home back to Nispelem, I remember the first thing my sister and I did was we went in and sat down with our mom and dad and said, "Did you go to boarding school?" Because we didn't even know like that what our parents had gone through, or we didn't know anything. We just knew that they were really hurt, for many years. And both of them had gone to boarding school. Both of them had been molested. Both of them had been beaten or hit. My mom wore little shoes, that were way too small for her. She used to listen to the kids cry themselves to sleep, all the little girls, like in the orphanage pictures of just rows and rows and rows of beds. Here in DeSmet, Idaho, is where my mom went to boarding school. And and when I talked to my dad said I could speak Latin before I could speak, and like I learned Latin. I could say prayers. I was an altar boy. I was forced to learn that language. He goes, and I only stayed there, for a year. He goes, but people were running, and you read all these things about them running away and hiding and so to kind of like bring this all together. So what happened was, once I learned that history, then I was able to go back to Haskell, look and stand in front of those children at Haskell and commit to those children that I wasn't going to drink. I wasn't going to do drugs. I was going to learn my language, learn how to say ahis tatla in cha isquis chastenma in cha spaus talichast in cha tum Jeannie Louie sistichum nimipu in cha mistam deblui in silkchin snakes. I know how to introduce myself because I went to Haskell and I learned what happened. And what I realized like a couple years ago is that set me on a path for my entire life. Like that began my journey of why I do what I do. When you talk about, your vision or your path, I think some of us, like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I went through my whole entire life, it's like 110 miles an hour, working with young people, working with youth, trying to help them stop dying. But I didn't even realize that's what I was doing. I thought I was like creating avenues for healing, right? For them to express themselves through the performing arts. And then I realized later that it was more than that. And, so I'm going to share with you guys a story, right? We're the best storytellers. Like that's how we, like Coyote, Sinclair, he's the one that taught us everything. And so we're all good storytellers. And so I just, I want to share with you guys. And so I'm going to share my screen because, when I tell stories, I like to tell stories through pictures, right? And so as I come here today, and can everybody, let me see, I think I might need to share because you can see all the slides on the side, right? I got to move those.
Yeah.
Let me see, slideshow. Okay, so I'm going to start there. That's good, right?
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, so I start my presentations with this picture because these are my yayats. My yayat, Lavinia Beans Alexander. My Indian name is Chastanma, which means talks good. And my yayat gave me her name. And these three women are sisters, and they were called the Aspaus girls, the My Heart girls, because they would go anytime anyone was sick. You have those community members who will go pray for them, who will sit by them at their bedsides, who will just like, they're like the ones in your community. Like you could all name them, right? Who are the ones who you call upon to pray and to help somebody go to the next world. And that's what my yayats did. And then below is my mom on the right, and then my oldest daughter Tawaya, my first granddaughter Lene, and me. And I believe, that my grandchildren are all standing in front of me. And everything I do, I have to do for them. I have to help them. I have to make decisions that are going to be the best for them. And that's what we carry on us. That's what we all live our lives for, to make our children and our grandchildren and our great grandchildren's lives better. And so um that's what I work really hard to do. And then this is just a really a picture of me. This little girl is me in the middle, and then my mom and dad, Deb and Jeannie, and then my brothers and sisters. But it's just like, that center of, this is who I am, this is where I fall in my family. And um so that's, just sharing. And then this is Geraldine Williams from Tulalip. Geraldine was one of the very first elders that died of COVID. And I used to take care of Geraldine. I used to be like her caretaker. And so when COVID hit, that triggered a lot already traumatized people. We were re-triggered with all this grief and loss through COVID. And then for the Native Wellness Institute, we lost Charlie Tailfeathers, and he died because he went to a ceremony. Like some of our elders were just like, we're gonna just keep praying and keep doing this. And Charlie, he died of COVID. And that really impacted all of Native wellness. And so as COVID was happening and we were doing power hours, and Julene, like literally when the NBA shut down, right? Like that was when I was like, oh snap, like something's happening. Disneyland shut down. I was like, holy, these are multi-billion-dollar companies, and so something's happening, like it's for real, and but that happened, I think, on a Friday, and then we had a board meeting, that Saturday. Monday, we launched Power Hours, and we just went on our phones and went live, right? And just start talking to our people and helping our people. And like, it was awesome. So we were in the middle of a power hour, and we were talking about grief and loss after we lost Charlie Tailfeathers. And I was scrolling on Facebook, how we all just scroll on Facebook. And especially during COVID, right? Because we were locked in our houses. We couldn't go anywhere. We couldn't do anything. Oh my gosh, it was to the point for me where I was living on the coast and all my family's in Idaho. And I put the heater in the bathroom, and my mom and them were in the sweat, and they brought their phone in the sweat. And I was in my bathroom, and I was praying and singing. Like, that's how much I needed my family. I was like, I think Creator will forgive you. Just bring me with you into the sweat. And so, but we did crazy things during COVID, just to survive. But anyway, so I seen this picture when I was scrolling on Facebook, and I stopped, I went backwards, and I was like, this is Shannon. Like, I knew who it was the minute I seen the picture, and it like just literally jumped off the screen. And sure enough, it was her brother who drew this picture. And I was like, man, this picture, I knew it was Shannon. But what was so powerful, and this is Shannon and Junior, but what was so powerful was that at that moment, I realized I had worked my entire life to try to stop my people from dying. That these two young people died right out of high school. Like, they graduated in June. They went to a party at 4th of July. They were drinking at the rodeo grounds. They left the party and they wrecked, and they both died. And that shifted me inside. Something snapped. And the next year I did Rock and Res, and it was to help our young people make better decisions before our powwow so they wouldn't drink. Right? So I did a mock car crash. We did this expression of dance and drama. I paid for Happy Frijo and Kimberly Guerrero and all these people to come to my reservation and teach our kids how to dance and how to do all this stuff, right? And it was to help our kids not die. Like literally, that's what it was for. My sister, who was in a car wreck and like had to rehabilitate, we did a mock car crash, and she talked at the mock car crash and told her story about drinking and driving and what it does to you. And I reflected that, I became an Earth ambassador in the 90s and J.R. Cook, who is the director of the founder of Unity, he brought 48 Native American youth together in San Diego, California. And for the first time in my life at 18 years old, I cried. My whole life I was told, don't cry, don't talk, don't feel. But Unity helped me cry, helped me heal, helped me talk about my story, about my life, about what happened to me. And so I feel like, you know, that was the catalyst of my healing. So once I learned how to heal, I wanted everybody to heal, right? That was like, okay, we're going to heal. And that's why I think, you know, when that 48 of us went to Washington, D.C., and we did this staking ceremony in front of the White House, we made a commitment to healing ourselves so that we could start to heal Mother Earth. But it started with us, right? It started with me. And how do I heal? And so I started that program called Rockin' the Res. And then 4 years later, my sister died in an alcohol-related car wreck. And I walked away for a minute, you know, like I started working in gaming. I stopped working with kids, like, you know, but then the Coeur d'Alene tribe called and said, Rockin' the Res is coming up. We need you to do it, Lovina. And so I took a deep breath and I said, okay, you know, I can do it. Even though I lost my sister to an alcohol-related car wreck, I knew that inside I couldn't stop. I had to keep trying. And so I went back and I started it again. And, you know, we went from 60 kids to 200 kids in Rockin' the Res over 25 years, right? And this was the reason why I couldn't walk away. Like I couldn't drown myself in alcohol or drugs. Like I needed to try to give these kids hope. And so they would learn from MC1 and Randy Redroad and all these guys, and they would learn songs and they would write songs and they would dance on our stage at the Coeur d'Alene Casino. And one year I wanted to get limos, right? Like if we don't think that our kids are stars and they deserve limos, then who's going to believe that, right? So I told our finance guy, like, I want to get limos. And he's like, they're only going to go 5 miles. You want us to pay this much money for limos? And I said, yes, I do. And he was trying to like tell me no. And I said, if I have to go to council, I will. Like I threatened him. And sure enough, I had limos, right? And I brought our kids, man, they went to Value Village and Goodwill and they got suits and ties and pretty dresses and they walked down a red carpet and they were just styling, you know? And it was so funny because I was so busy doing Rockin' the Res that like my son didn't get a suit. He's the kid in the hat because I was too busy, but it looks like he's like a rapper and those are his bodyguards. But you know, I mean, but he got to perform and he got to do that. And so, you know, as we went through Rockin' the Res, and I remember in year 10, my niece was 9 months old when my sister died. So when my niece turned 9, you know, she was in Rockin' the Res all those years. And at 9 years old, the kids started to sing about love and friendship. Like they were not sharing about hurt and pain anymore. Like I seen the shift in them, and they were loving each other. And these little kids, like they started in Rockin' the Res and then they became the youth leaders, you know. And we brought back canoes and we started to connect our kids back to their culture, back to their language, back to their identity, back to who Creator made them to be. And the very first time we made these canoes, these sturgeon nose canoes, like our tribe, we had to hire Sean Brigman from the Spokane tribe because we didn't know how to make canoes. And so we hired Sean and he came and helped us. And we didn't know how to bless a canoe. So we called upon Will and Charlie, and they helped us, and we blessed our canoe. And all of our kids sang a song. And as our kids picked up that canoe, and walked it to the water, when that canoe touched the water, I felt our ancestors welcome us home. You know, we hadn't been at the water for over 100 years. And just like many of our coastal brothers and sisters, you know, who have rejuvenated the canoe culture, that just happened for us like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. But you can feel the connection between the water. The water is healing. And so when we brought back our canoes, there was a big shift, right? That was a huge shift in our community. And so all the years we were doing Rock in the Res, right? We're doing it at the school, at the community center, at the wellness. We just try to find a place to put all our kids for the summer. And so, you know, when I became the wellness center director, which I had worked all my life to become the wellness center director, I then handed the baton over to JC Gowdy. And, you know, she was one of my kids, girl, when she grew up in Rock and Res, and then I gave it to her. And, you know, and then that was really cool to be able to hand it over to one of my kids. And we worked hard, and we had football programs, basketball programs, sports programs, you know, like my brother Wade and I. And what was really cool about all of this was my boss. You know, she's a white lady, but she changed my life. Like, she believed in me. She let me do any crazy thing I wanted, and the tribe gave us the money. Like, the tribe said, "Here, you need 500,000, here's 500,000." They fully funded our youth programs. Like, it was amazing. And so Cheryl and I would sit at the table and dream of having a youth center for our kids, a place where they could just have all to themselves. And that was always our dream. When I became the wellness center director, we started the plans to build a boys and girls club for our kids. This is a picture of Cheryl, the former director, me, a former director, and Lindsay Holt, the current director. The plans to build that facility was amazing. It was a $16 million facility with a football field, 2 baseball fields. It ended up costing $20 million, but we built it. And today, I bring my grandchildren to this beautiful facility in Worley, Idaho. Only 200 people live in Worley, you know, but our reservation is not very big. We don't have thousands and thousands of tribal members, but we invest in our children. You know, even down to this football field, you know, when I was doing the plans, I told my CEO, I said, "This is the difference between a turf field and a grass field." And he said, "Well, it's cheaper to do grass." And I said, "I know, but our kids deserve turf." And he put grass in. When we went back to do the grand opening of this core center, our chairman, Chief Allen, he came in and said, "Pull out that grass. Our kids deserve turf." So sure enough, our kids have turf. But you know what is awesome is I was in my my early 40s when I graduated with my bachelor's degree. The tribe actually wouldn't give me the director job until I had my dang degree. And so I was going to school full time, 21 credits, and I was working as a full-time director, and I graduated with my bachelor's in organizational sciences. All of these women, the woman in the front right is Laura Stensgaard, the CEO of the Coeur d'Alene Casino. My sister Debbie was the COO of the Coeur d'Alene Casino. Tina Jordan is our director of HR. Our tribe backs our people in education. Right now, my daughter is at the University of Hawaii in Manoa, and she's going to college. She didn't like take a break or anything. She went straight to college. And it's because of the support of the Coeur d'Alene tribe. And this is this is an older picture of our council. Now Dave is gone. Dave Matheson has passed away now. But you know, it's because of our leadership that they support our youth, they support our young people. And for over 20 years, Ernie Stensgaard was chairman of the Coeur d'Alene tribe, and then he handed it to Chief Allen, and Chief has been chairman now for almost over 20 years. And so we at the Coeur d'Alene tribe have stability in our leadership, and that helps. So, when I look at this and this picture, I think MC1 took this picture in Phoenix, but this young girl came up to me and, she was like, Lovina, I just want to be successful. I just, part of life is just saying you can do anything you put your mind to, and so part of, I think, being a leader, a servant leader, is uplifting and helping others. How are you helping others? How are you uplifting others? How are you believing in each other? And that's how I feel. And then this picture is my mom and dad. Yesterday, they celebrated 58 years of being married. A couple years ago, my mom got to have her wedding. She never got to have a wedding. They got married, and then my dad went to Vietnam. And so my mom had always wanted a wedding. And so she got to be a beautiful bride. And, now my dad, he will call me before I go on a trip, or before even any time. He'll call me and he'll say, baby, I'm praying for you. And he walks out on the porch. He goes, I don't have all day, but I'm praying for you. And he says, I love you. And that was so hard for my dad to be able to say those 3 little words. But now he can. And my mom and dad have been sober now for, I don't even know how many years, since I was 12 and I'm 52. I was 12 years old when they quit drinking. And then my dad, he served on tribal council for 18 years for Colville. And my mom served on Coeur d'Alene's council for 9 years. And my mom has been secretary of AT&I for 20 years. And, there are everything. We had rough times with our mom and dad, but we've also had the best years of our lives, as they've been sober, as they've been leaders. I mean, they're just wonderful people. And, I'm really honored that I had been chosen to be their daughter. And I know one day, they're going to get called home. And I'm going to be ready for that day, because I know they lived a good life. And, that's something that I think over the years I've learned now, is that, like, I can't save everybody. People are going to die. But I can just love people. And sometimes I think we get too complicated with stuff. Sometimes life is just about loving each other and uplifting each other and being there for each other. And that's what my mom and dad have been for me. They're always there for me. They always love me. And so I am really thankful and grateful. And and I just want to end this presentation with those words of love and appreciation, because when you tell somebody I love you, it affects them at a molecular level. Like Dr. Emoto studied water. He froze it and it looked like this. The words thank you, when you tell someone thank you, limlam, shinchaspa us telechas, thank you from my heart. Those words, they stay here. They change your body. If you can just take your water every morning and say, I love you, you're beautiful, you're amazing, you're healthy, you're strong. If you can just talk and speak life into your water every morning, you're going to feel a shift. You're going to feel a shift in yourself and in your life. And so, that's what I wanted to share today with everybody. I always cry because, my dad always taught me, speak from your heart, baby. Tell Creator to help you and speak through you. And that's what I do. Even when I did a TEDx talk, they were like, hey, you got to write it down and it has to be word for word and it has to be 20 minutes to and I just looked at that dude and I was like, I can't do that. I said, you either let me speak from my heart or I'm not going to speak at all. And sure enough, that guy was like, all right, I'm just going to let you do it. So my TEDx talk, I got to just speak from my heart. And, it was one of the most powerful speeches I think I've ever given. So yeah, anyway, so that was a lot. Whew, everybody, let's take a deep breath, man. I need to take a deep breath. Woo!
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Yeah, that was amazing, Lovina. That was so like starting out with the video and the hardships that we faced as Native people since the contact and what you shared and brought our hearts forward. Thank you so much. Sharing, your personal experiences with boarding schools and making them and changing it into a positive direction. And I feel like I know your family now. That was so beautiful. I want to go hang out at the next anniversary party.
Well, they just had their anniversary yesterday. And then what's crazy is
Dang
their
it.
birthdays are on the same day. So their birthdays are November 4th. And yeah, and they'll be at AT&I. If anybody's going to AT&I, my mom's going to be, she goes to every AT&I. She's still the secretary.
Next week, yep. I think we have some time for questions. And I know we have moderators, but I'll start with a question that I really appreciate what you said about a servant leader. I think that's what you said. And can you describe that more of what you believe that to mean?
So the way I see a servant leader is that and I think the best example is my director Cheryl, the picture I showed of Cheryl. Like when we would put on our co-ed basketball tournament with all of our youth, so we would be working all day. And at the end of the tournament, then you gotta like clean and you gotta clean the bleachers and mop and sweep. And she would be right out there with us mopping and sweeping, and when we'd have our dance until midnight, she would be there like watching the kids, making sure they weren't too close. And but to me, like, it's when like, because I've been a director, I've been a boss, I've been a manager, and I work right next to my staff. Like, nothing's below me. Like, I want to help, I want to, like, and I see it more as a coach, like a coach. Like a coach is someone who like cheers you on and like lets you take the lead, and steps back. And that's, to me, that's a servant leader, is when you don't have to be in the front, when you can step back and be in the back.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, that's well exampled in your presentation today. I really appreciated how you really highlighted that you turned the directorship over to one of your own students. And I think that's a great, high honor. I mean, it's a testament to your own work, but also to turn it over, feeling the confidence and that they're prepared, to do that. And that's goals for sure. I'm getting the words. There's no questions in the Q&A, so if folks want to ask a question, now's the time. Do you want to share a little bit? You mentioned, and that, thank you for recognizing those elders that passed on during COVID, and many of us, in our own communities, face those similar situations. But you mentioned the work with the Native Wellness Institute, and can you share a little bit more about Native Wellness Institute?
Yeah, so Native Wellness Institute, we our director is Jillian Joseph, and our office is out of Gresham, but our organization does a lot of trauma informed training, historical and intergenerational trauma, healthy relationships. Being an ally in Indian country is one of our big trainings. Women's gatherings, men's gatherings, healing together. Our whole focus is healing and wellness, and how do we understand trauma, and how do we move in a direction of healing.
That's amazing. It brought back memories. I mean, that wasn't that long ago, but COVID and the Power Hour, I remember that beginning, and it was really nice to tune in and have that kind of contact, because everybody was isolated. In some ways, I feel like I wish it was still going.
Well, everything was so clean, right?
What was that?
I said everything was so clean, like the waters and
Oh, yeah.
the air, people not traveling or going, like it was pretty great. It was pretty awesome, but kind of crazy too.
Yeah. Yeah, the Earth, they were giving reports about Earth, having this break from the pressure that humanity puts on it. There's no cars on the freeways, and no pollution.
Yeah.
Nettie wrote in the chat, Jeline Joseph took me on my first limo ride and paid for my first French tip manicure. To this day, I love to get my nails done. She changed my life. That's awesome.
That's awesome, Nettie. I'll let Jeline know. I talk to Jeline every other day.
Yeah, let her know that she's keeping her nails clean still. So I'm going to look to our hosts. Thank you so much. You really did an expression of love, for the presentation today. It's, so much to think about, our own, our personal stories of love and overcoming adversity, really came out in your presentation. And I think that's such a powerful thing to be able to share, and sharing your tears, and letting know people that it's okay to cry, and it's okay to say I love you, and all those things. Just thank you so much. So much to be said. It's great to see you again today, and really thankful for the work that you've done, with the youth and with our audience today. So thank you so much for being here. And I'm glad that you got this extra time. You probably could keep going. Should we go extra half hour?
That's what I was wondering. I was like, I don't even remember what time we were supposed to be done, but I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Looks like we can go to the raffle. I don't know how the raffle works.
That's in the chat. Yeah.
Yep.
It's highlighted in the chat. We got to do the raffle. 8th generation prize. So I think that spinning wheel is going to pop up, and yeah, I see a lot of hearts coming up. So folks ask questions, and thanks again for being here.
Yes, no worries. Is that Avery Jones? Is that Mary Lee's son?
I'm not sure.
Here we go.
I don't know what these prizes are. It's something from 8th generation. Atlas. Yay, Atlas. Congratulations. I think there's 3 prizes. Woo, Marlene. I love these names. It's like Prince. They don't have a last name.
Vivian.
Woo! Vivian A. Okay, we're going to follow up with their winners via email. Haldies. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Thank you so much for your sharing your inspiring story. Thank you, Lars. So I think we're calling it evening. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate there is, I'm supposed to promote the dinner. The dinner is on Saturday for the 20th celebration of the Ilahi Fund And I believe there's still some tickets available, so if folks want to go to that. But it is a celebration for 20 years of doing this good work. And we really appreciate you, Lovina, being here to close out those 20 years as we're getting ready to celebrate. I think we're good to go. It's 7 o'clock right now, so we appreciate everybody's time, and we hope you all have a good evening. Go to bed early today.
All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much, Naali.
Oi, Kwecha.
Yes. Awesome. All right. So